Section 3.4, Slope and Rate of Change, Selected Homework Problems. Number 5. Find the slope of the line that goes through the given points. And the given points are 10 minus 10 and 8 minus 8. Now, one way to find the slope of the line given 2 points on a line is to use the slope formula. And that formula is m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now we can choose to designate 10 as either x sub 1 or x sub 2. And this minus 10 could be y sub 1 or y sub 2. It doesn't matter. As long as if we make, say, this 10 x sub 2, then we must also make this minus 10 y sub 2. And then we make this x sub 1, which means we must make this y sub 1. The next step is to plug the coordinates into the formula. So we replace the y sub 2 with minus 10. The y sub 1 is minus 8, but be careful, there's a minus in the formula and there's a minus on the coordinate, minus 8. Over x sub 2, which is 10, minus x sub 1, which is 8. Now notice we have the y coordinates on the top. One way to remember this is that y goes in the sky and the x's are on the bottom. Okay. There's a tendency to want to put the x's, to put it alphabetical order and put the x's on top, but the y's go on the top. Okay, now we compute. Be careful with the signs. Minus 10, and then we have minus minus. Minus minus is plus 8 over 10 minus 8 is 2. And then minus 10 plus 8. 10 minus 8 is 2, but the bigger absolute value is negative. So we have negative 2. So we have m equals negative 2 over 2. And negative 2 over 2 is negative 1. So the slope of the line that passes through the two given points here is negative 1. Number 6. Find the slope of the line if it exists. Now to find the slope of this line, one way I could do it is use the graph. Start with one of the points, and I'm going to start with this one. Rise up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your rise. Run over 1, 2, 3. That's your run. So we rose up 5 in the positive direction and 3 in the positive direction. So our rise over our run, which is our slope, is 5 over 3. And that's our slope. Number 12. Find the slope of the line 3x plus y equals 6. Now this line, as it's given, is in standard form. Be careful. When a line is in standard form, that does not make the 3 on the 3x, the slope, you must first put the line in slope-intercept form. And remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So the first thing we're going to do is put this line in slope-intercept form. To do that, all we need to do is bring the x term to the other side by taking it away from both sides. And we have y equals minus 3x plus 6. So the slope of this line is m equals, you look right here, minus 3. So to get the slope of this line, we had to first put the line in slope-intercept form. And once it's in slope-intercept form, we see immediately that the x coefficient is our slope. We immediately identify our slope as the x coefficient of the equation in slope-intercept form. Number 14. Determine whether this pair of lines is parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, to determine this, we need to know the slopes of the lines. If the lines are parallel, they're going to have the same slope. Parallel means like this. The slope is exactly the same. If the lines are perpendicular, the lines are going to be negative reciprocals of each other. Perpendicular means at right angles to each other. So let's find the slope of each line and compare them. To find the slope of the lines, remember we have to put the lines in slope-intercept form. That means we need to get y by itself. So for the first equation, I'm going to flip it around so that the y is on the left side. And, matter of fact, I'm going to put the x term here first. So it starts to look more like y-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Now to get it in that form, all we need to do is get rid of this 7. So to get rid of the 7, I'm going to divide it out. And I must do that to each term on the other side as well. 7's cancel, and I now have y equals 3/7 x plus 8/7. Okay, so here's the slope of my first line. We can call this line y sub 1. And then this would be m sub 1. Okay, now let's look at the second line. I'm going to write it as 3y plus 7x. I can turn these around if I want to, equals 6. And first I'm going to take away the 7x from both sides. So I get 3y equals, and I'm going to write the minus 7x first, plus 6. So you start to see that it's starting to look like y equals mx plus b form. Final step, I'm going to divide out the 3 on each term, and I'm left with y equals minus 7/3 x plus 6 over 3 is 2. And let's call this y sub 2. So these are our two lines, but now in slope-intercept form. You see, for y sub 1, the coefficient of the x term is 3/7. Let's call that m sub 1. m sub 1 is 3/7. And the coefficient of the x term for the second equation is, let's call it m sub 2. It is minus 7/3. So we have 3/7 and minus 7/3. Well, if we multiply those two slopes together, these cancel. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, 7 goes into 7 once, 7 once, but you're left with that minus 1. We get minus 1. That proves that these two slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. If you look at them carefully, m sub 2 is just m sub 1 flipped upside down with the opposite sign. That makes them negative reciprocals of each other. Whenever they're negative reciprocals of each other, that means that the two lines are perpendicular. So that is our answer, perpendicular. It means they're at right angles to each other. Okay, so when two lines have slopes at right angles to each other, when they're perpendicular, their slopes will be negative reciprocals of each other.